The bridge of the Zephyrian Coalition flagship Stellar Harmony buzzed with quiet activity. Admiral Kethvar, a tall being with blue-scaled skin and 4 arms, stood before the main display screen. His yellow eyes studied the star charts while his crew worked at their stations. "Admiral," called out Lieutenant Zexhai from the sensor station, "we have detected something strange in the contested nebula." Admiral Kethvar turned his attention to the young officer. The contested nebula was a dangerous place. 3 different alien races had been fighting there for over 200 years. No one went there unless they had to. "What kind of something?" the Admiral asked. "A large energy signature, sir. It does not match anything in our databases." Commander Lisa Harper looked up from her station. She was the only human on the ship. Her people had been friends with the Coalition for many years before the war. Now she was the last of her kind working with them. Lisa walked over to the sensor station. Her brown hair was tied back in a military style. She wore the blue uniform of the Coalition, but her name tag still said Human Liaison, even though there were no more humans to speak for. "Let me see those readings," Lisa said. The data appeared on her screen. Her heart began to beat faster. The energy pattern looked familiar. It reminded her of something from her childhood, from the old stories her grandfather used to tell about Earth's great ships. "Admiral," Lisa said, her voice careful and steady, "this energy signature has quantum resonance patterns that match human fusion drives." The bridge went quiet. Every crew member turned to look at her. Admiral Kethvar's 4 hands came together in front of his chest, a sign of deep thought. "Commander Harper," he said slowly, "your people have been gone for 50 years. The Vaktari Empire destroyed Earth. We saw the reports. We mourned with the survivors." Lisa nodded. She remembered that day. She had been on a Coalition training mission when the news came. Earth was dead. Her family was dead. Everything she had known was gone. "I know, sir. But these readings don't lie. This is human technology." Lieutenant Zexhai spoke up again. "Admiral, we are receiving communication signals from the nebula. They are very weak and broken, but our computers are trying to translate them." "Put them through the speakers," Admiral Kethvar ordered. Static filled the bridge. Then through the noise they heard voices speaking in an old human language. The words were hard to understand, but Lisa caught some of them. "Civilians under fire. Requesting immediate assistance. Cannot hold position much longer." Lisa felt tears forming in her eyes. Those were human voices. Somewhere in that deadly nebula her people were still alive. They were fighting and they needed help. "Admiral," she said, "we have to go in there." Admiral Kethvar's expression was troubled. The contested nebula was a death trap. Many Coalition ships had entered over the years. Very few had come back out. The 3 races fighting there, the Vaktari Empire, the hegemony of Kral, and the Twisted Hive, were all dangerous enemies. "Commander Harper, I understand your feelings, but I cannot risk my entire fleet for what might be a trap. The Vaktari are known for their tricks. Sir, with respect, those are my people calling for help. Your people who have been dead for 50 years. The bridge remained silent. Other crew members watched the conversation between their admiral and the human commander. Many of them had worked with Lisa for years. They knew her to be honest and brave. "Admiral," said Captain Dorwin, the ship's tactical officer, "if there are human survivors, they could have valuable information about Vaktari military capabilities. It might be worth the risk." Admiral Kethvar thought for a long moment. His species, the Zephyrians, were known for being careful and wise. They did not make quick decisions, but they also valued honor and helping those in need. "Very well," he said finally. "We will approach the nebula, but at the first sign of serious danger we withdraw. I will not lose my ships for ghosts." The Stellar Harmony changed course, followed by its escort vessels. As they moved toward the nebula, Lisa studied every piece of data coming from the sensors. The energy signature was definitely getting stronger. "Admiral," Lieutenant Zexhai reported, "long-range sensors are detecting weapons fire inside the nebula. Multiple ships engaged in combat. Can you identify the vessels?" 3 large ships showing Vaktari energy signatures, and 1 unknown vessel that appears to be fighting them. Lisa's hands gripped her console. 1 ship against 3 Vaktari battle cruisers? That was suicide. The Vaktari had some of the most powerful warships in the galaxy. "How long until we reach the nebula's edge?" Admiral Kethvar asked. 15 minutes, sir. All ships prepare for combat. Shields up, weapons ready." We do not know what we will find in there. As the coalition fleet approached the nebula, the communication signals became clearer. Lisa could now understand most of what was being said. The human voices were calm and professional, but she could hear the stress underneath. Target their engines first. We need to keep them away from the convoy. Shield generators at 60%. We can take a few more hits. All civilian ships maintain formation. Do not break away from the escort. Lisa realized what was happening. The humans were protecting someone. They were outnumbered and outgunned, but they were still fighting to save lives. "Admiral," she said, "they are protecting civilian ships. This is a rescue operation." Admiral Kethvar nodded. "Then we will help them. All ships enter the nebula. Target any Vaktari vessels." The coalition fleet passed through the nebula's edge. The swirling gases and electromagnetic storms made sensors difficult to use, but soon they could see the battle with their own eyes. 3 massive Vaktari battlecruisers were attacking a single ship. The defending vessel was like nothing Lisa had ever seen. It was clearly human in design, but it looked more advanced than anything Earth had ever built. Its hull was dark and angular, covered in armor that seemed to absorb enemy fire. As they watched, the human ship turned and fired its main weapons. Beams of pure energy tore through space and struck one of the Vaktari cruisers. The enemy ship's shields collapsed instantly. "Impossible," whispered Captain Dorwin. "Those shields should have held against any human weapon." Lisa stared at the battle. The human ship moved like a dancer, avoiding the worst enemy fire while protecting a small convoy of refugee vessels behind it. But she could see that it was taking damage. How long could it hold out against 3 enemies? "Admiral," she said, "request permission to open communications with the human ship." "Granted. Try to contact them." Lisa activated the communication system. She took a deep breath and spoke in the old human language her grandfather had taught her. "Unknown human vessel. This is Commander Lisa Harper of the coalition ship Stellar Harmony. We are here to help." For a moment, there was only static. Then a voice responded, clear and strong. "Coalition vessel, this is Captain Jake Morrison of the USS Liberty. Good to see you finally made it. We have been waiting for this conversation for a very long time." Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the USS Liberty as explosions lit up the space around his ship. His crew worked at their stations with calm efficiency, even as enemy plasma bolts hammered their shields. "Shield strength at 40%, reported his tactical officer, Lieutenant Amy Collins. "But the armor is holding fine," Jake nodded. The Liberty had been built for this kind of fight. Every human ship was now designed to face impossible odds and survive. On the main screen, he could see the coalition fleet entering the nebula. About time, he thought. His ship had been fighting the Vaktari for 6 hours, protecting the refugee convoy. They could handle it alone, but help was always welcome. "Sir," called Communications Officer Ben Clark, "the coalition commander wants to talk. Put her through." A woman's voice came through the speakers, speaking in Old Earth English. "Unknown human vessel, this is Commander Lisa Harper of the coalition ship Stellar Harmony. We are here to help," Jake smiled. A human in the coalition fleet. He had read about her in the intelligence reports. Lisa Harper, one of the few humans who had been off-world when Earth died. She probably thought she was the last of her kind. "Coalition vessel, this is Captain Jake Morrison of the USS Liberty. Good to see you finally made it. We have been waiting for this conversation for a very long time." Through the communication link, Jake could hear the surprise in her voice. "Captain Morrison, we thought all humans were dead. How is this possible?" "Long story, Commander. Right now we have 3 Vaktari cruisers that need to be dealt with. Want to help us finish this?" Admiral Kethvar's voice joined the conversation. "Captain Morrison, this is Admiral Kethvar. We will assist you. What are your orders?" Jake raised an eyebrow. A coalition admiral asking a human captain for orders. Things had certainly changed since Earth's fall. "Admiral, keep your ships back and watch our flanks. We will handle the Vaktari directly. Captain, with respect, you are outnumbered 3-1. Our combined fleet would have better odds. Trust me, Admiral. We have this under control." On the tactical display, the 3 Vaktari battlecruisers were moving into attack formation. Each ship was twice the size of the Liberty and carried enough firepower to destroy a small moon. In the old days, before Earth's fall, this would have been an impossible fight. But these were not the old days. "Amy," Jake said to his tactical officer, "target the lead cruiser. Full power to forward weapons. Targeting now, sir, firing. The Liberty's main guns fired in sequence. Instead of the simple laser weapons humans had used 50 years ago, these were quantum disruption cannons. They tore through space-time itself, ignoring enemy shields and armor. The lead Vactari cruiser simply came apart. Its hull split down the middle as if cut by an invisible knife. Secondary explosions finished the job, turning the massive warship into expanding debris. On the Coalition ships, crew members stared in shock. Commander Lisa Harper felt her hands shake as she watched the display. No human weapon should have been able to do that. Impossible, Admiral Kethvar whispered. How did they penetrate the shields? The remaining 2 Vactari cruisers began firing everything they had at the Liberty. Plasma bolts, torpedo barrages, and particle beams struck the human ship. The attacks would have vaporized any Coalition vessel. The Liberty flew through the barrage like it was flying through rain. Its dark armor absorbed the energy attacks, converting them into power for its own systems. Only the heaviest hits even left scorch marks. Return fire, Jake ordered calmly. Amy Collins targeted the second cruiser. This time she aimed for its weapon systems. The quantum cannons fired again, and the Vactari ship's guns simply disappeared, sliced away with surgical precision. The third cruiser tried to run. Its captain realized he was facing something beyond his understanding. But Jake had no intention of letting any of them escape. Ben, he said to his communications officer, send a message to that fleeing ship. Yes, sir. Channel open. Jake spoke in the Vactari language, his voice cold and hard. Vactari vessel, this is Captain Morrison. You attacked civilian refugees. You have forfeited your right to leave this system alive. The Vactari captain's reply came through the speakers, full of fear and rage. Human, your species is dead. We destroyed your world. You are nothing but ghosts. Then let us show you what ghosts can do. Jake turned to Amy. Target their engines. But do not destroy them yet. I want them to think about what they have done. The Liberty fired a single shot that disabled the fleeing cruiser's drive systems. The Vactari ship spun helplessly in space, unable to move or defend itself. On the Coalition flagship, Admiral Kethvar watched the display with growing amazement. A single human ship had destroyed one enemy cruiser, disabled another, and was toying with the third. This was not the technology level they expected from humanity. Commander Harper, he said, request permission to board the human ship. We need to understand what we are seeing. Lisa nodded. She wanted answers too. How had her people not only survived, but developed such advanced technology? Captain Morrison, she transmitted. Admiral Kethvar requests permission to meet with you in person. Jake considered this. The time for hiding was almost over. Soon the galaxy would need to know what humanity had become. Permission granted. But fair warning, what you learn might disturb you. An hour later, a Coalition shuttle docked with the Liberty. Admiral Kethvar, Commander Harper, and a small diplomatic team came aboard. They were escorted to the ship's main conference room. Jake Morrison was waiting for them. He looked like a normal human man in his 40s with brown hair and gray eyes. But Lisa noticed something different about him. He moved with perfect confidence, and his eyes seemed to see everything at once. Welcome aboard the Liberty, Jake said. Please sit down. We have much to discuss. Admiral Kethvar took a seat across from the human captain. Captain Morrison, we believed your species was extinct. How did you survive? We adapted, Jake said simply. When the Vactari destroyed Earth, about 2 million humans were off-world. Most people thought that was the end of us. It should have been, Admiral Kethvar said. 2 million survivors cannot rebuild a civilization. Jake smiled, but it was not a happy expression. You are right. 2 million normal humans could not have done it. But we are not normal humans anymore. He touched a control on the table, and the room's lights dimmed. A holographic display showed star charts with dozens of marked systems. After Earth fell, we made a choice. We could try to rebuild what we had lost, or we could become something new. Something that could make sure no other race would suffer as we did. What do you mean? Lisa asked. We enhanced ourselves. Genetic modifications, cybernetic implants, neural upgrades. We pushed the boundaries of what it means to be human. Amy Collins entered the room carrying a datapad. Lisa noticed that the woman's eyes had a slight metallic shine, and her movements were too precise to be entirely natural. Every human now has enhanced reflexes, improved strength, and expanded mental capacity. Jake explained. Our ships are grown rather than built. using nanotechnology that can repair damage almost instantly. Admiral Kethvar leaned forward. "Why show yourselves now?" Jake's expression became serious. "Because the Vakhtari have gone too far. They are not content with conquest anymore. They have started experimenting on captured civilians from other races." He activated another display, showing images that made the coalition delegates turn away in disgust. "We cannot allow this to continue," Jake said. 50 years ago, we swore an oath. Never again would we allow innocents to suffer while we had the power to stop it. Lisa felt a chill run through her body. "What are you saying?" "We are saying that humanity has returned, not as victims but as protectors. The galaxy has rules now, whether it knows it or not." Outside the conference room, the crew of the Liberty continued their work. In the ship's cargo bay, rescued civilians from a dozen different species were being cared for by human medics. The refugees looked up at their rescuers with gratitude and amazement. These humans were nothing like the peaceful explorers who had first reached the stars. They were something new, something that had been forged in the fire of loss and shaped by determination. The Vakhtari Empire had created their own worst enemy. They just did not know it yet. Dr. Amy Collins led the coalition delegation through the corridors of the USS Liberty. Her metallic eyes scanned constantly, processing information faster than any normal brain could handle. She had been one of the first volunteers for the enhancement program after Earth's fall. "This way, please," she said, her voice carrying a slight electronic tone. "Captain Morrison wants to show you our engineering section." Lisa Harper walked beside Admiral Kethvar, trying to process everything she had learned. The ship around them was unlike anything she had seen. The walls seemed to pulse with a faint light, and she could hear a subtle humming that felt almost alive. "Dr. Collins," Lisa said, "what exactly did you do to yourselves?" Amy stopped and turned to face the group. When she smiled, Lisa could see that her teeth had been replaced with something that looked like metal but gleamed like pearls. "We became what we needed to become," Amy replied. "After Earth died, we realized that being human in the old way was not enough. The galaxy is a dangerous place. If we wanted to protect innocent life, we had to be stronger." They entered a vast chamber filled with machinery that defied explanation. Instead of the clean, geometric designs that coalition ships used, everything here was organic curves and flowing lines. Pipes that looked like blood vessels carried glowing fluids, and panels that resembled tree bark displayed streams of data. "This is our engineering section," Amy said with pride. "The ship's brain lives here." "Brain?" Admiral Kethvar asked. "Every human ship is partially alive now. We grow them using nanotechnology combined with synthetic biology. The ship can repair itself, learn from combat experience, and even make tactical decisions when needed." A young man approached them. He wore the same dark uniform as the other crew members, but Lisa noticed that his left arm was completely mechanical. When he saluted, she could see that his hand had small tools built into the fingers. "Dr. Collins," he said, "the captain wants you to show them the civilian rescue area." "Thank you." Petty Officer Ryan Walsh. As they walked, Amy explained more about the changes humanity had made. "We enhanced our bodies, but we also changed our society. Every human now serves in some capacity. We have no civilians in the old sense. Everyone is trained for war, but also for healing, building, and protecting." They reached a large cargo bay that had been converted into a medical facility. Dozens of beings from different species were being treated by human medics. Lisa saw creatures she recognized, some Zephyrians, a few Kral, and others she did not know. A human doctor approached them. Her name tag read Dr. Sarah Kim. Like the others, she showed signs of enhancement. Her eyes could apparently see different spectrums of light, and her hands moved with impossible precision as she worked. "These are the survivors we rescued from Research Station Delta 7, Dr. Kim explained. "The Vakhtari had been using them for experiments." Admiral Kethvar looked at the rescued beings with sympathy. "What kind of experiments?" "They were trying to create hybrid soldiers," Dr. Kim replied, her voice hard with anger. "Combining different species to make the perfect warrior. Most of the subjects died in agony." Lisa felt sick. She had heard rumors about Vakhtari research, but seeing the evidence was different. Many of the survivors showed signs of surgical modification. Some had been given extra limbs, others had been altered in ways that were hard to look at. "This is why we cannot hide anymore," Amy said. "The Vakhtari Empire has become something that must be stopped." A small Zephyrian child approached Lisa, tugging on her uniform. The child's scales were a pale blue, indicating young age, but Lisa could see scars from medical procedures. "Are you here to help us?" the child asked in broken Coalition standard. Lisa knelt down to the child's level. "Yes, we are here to help. The bad people hurt my family. The humans saved me. Are the humans going to make the bad people stop?" Before Lisa could answer, Amy Collins spoke. "Yes, little one. We are going to make sure the bad people never hurt anyone again." The certainty in Amy's voice was absolute. Lisa realized that humanity was not just talking about stopping the Vaktari. They were talking about eliminating them entirely. Captain Morrison appeared at the entrance to the medical bay. "Dr. Collins, please bring our guest to the command briefing room. We have received new intelligence." The briefing room was smaller than the conference room, with a large holographic display in the center. When they entered, the display showed a three-dimensional map of the local star systems. "Admiral Kethvar," Jake began, "what I am about to tell you is classified at the highest levels. 2 days ago, our scouts detected this." The display zoomed in on a distant system. A massive structure appeared, clearly artificial and enormous in scale. "What are we looking at?" Admiral Kethvar asked. "A planet killer," Jake replied grimly. "The Vaktari have built a weapon capable of destroying entire worlds." The room fell silent. Lisa stared at the image, her mind struggling to comprehend the scale of the weapon. It was larger than most space stations, bristling with energy cannons and surrounded by escort fleets. "How is this possible?" Admiral Kethvar whispered. "They have been building it in secret for 10 years, Jake explained. Our intelligence network only discovered it recently." "Intelligence network?" Lisa asked. Amy Collins answered. "We have people everywhere, Commander Harper. After Earth fell, we learned that information is the most important weapon. We have humans working throughout the galaxy, many of them enhanced to be undetectable." Jake activated another display. "According to our sources, the Vaktari plan to use this weapon on Coalition worlds. They want to force your government to surrender." Admiral Kethvar stood up, his four hands shaking with rage. "We must warn the Coalition Council immediately." "We already have," Jake said. "But warning is not enough. This weapon must be destroyed." "How?" Admiral Kethvar asked. "It is protected by an entire fleet." Jake's expression became hard as steel. "Admiral, humanity did not survive by being careful. We survived by being willing to do what others cannot." He touched a control and the display showed new ships appearing throughout the sector. Dozens of human vessels emerged from hiding places that should have been impossible to use. They had been concealed in asteroid fields, gas clouds, and even inside the coronas of stars. "For 50 years we have been preparing for this moment," Jake continued. "Every human ship, every enhanced soldier, every piece of technology we have developed has been aimed at one goal, making sure that what happened to Earth never happens to anyone else." Lisa looked at the display showing the growing human fleet. Ships with names like Vengeance, Never Again, and Price of Peace moved through space with deadly purpose. "You are talking about war," Admiral Kethvar said. "No," Jake corrected. "We are talking about justice." Amy Collins stepped forward. "Admiral, the Vaktari Empire made a choice when they destroyed Earth. They chose to become a threat to all intelligent life. Now we are going to unmake that choice." "What about the innocent Vaktari civilians?" Lisa asked. The room went quiet. Jake looked at her with eyes that had seen too much suffering. "Commander Harper, we have spent 50 years trying to find innocent Vaktari civilians. Their entire culture is built on conquest and domination. Their children are taught that other species exist only to serve them or die. But surely not all of them." "All of them," Amy interrupted. "We have studied their society completely. There are no peace movements, no rebels, no opposition to their government's policies. They are a species that has chosen evil." Admiral Kethvar was struggling with the implications. "You are talking about genocide." "We are talking about stopping genocide," Jake replied. "The Vaktari have destroyed 17 worlds in the last century. How many more must die before someone says enough?" The display showed the refugee children in the medical bay. Lisa thought about the small Zephyrian child who had asked for help. "What do you want from the Coalition?" Admiral Kethvar asked finally. "We want you to stay out of our way," Jake said simply. "And when this is over, we want you to remember that there are rules now. Any species that commits genocide or experiments on sapients will answer to humanity. You are setting yourselves up as judges of the galaxy?" "Someone has to." Lisa felt a chill as she realized what humanity had become. They were no longer the curious explorers who had first reached the stars. They were something harder, colder, and infinitely more dangerous. They were the galaxy's immune system, and they had just identified a disease that needed to be eliminated. The massive dreadnought HMS Nemesis materialized out of hyperspace like a dark storm cloud. It was 3 times larger than the Liberty, its hull covered in armor that seemed to absorb light itself. Along its sides, weapon ports glowed with barely contained energy. Admiral Susan Blake stood on the bridge of her flagship, watching as her fleet assembled. At 60 years old, she had lived through Earth's destruction as a young officer. Now she commanded the largest human military force since the homeworld's fall. "Admiral," reported her tactical officer, Commander Tony Gray, "all fleet elements are in position. 237 ships ready for combat operations." Susan nodded. Her enhanced eyes scanned the tactical displays, processing information faster than any normal human could manage. Half her brain was now synthetic, allowing her to coordinate the entire fleet while maintaining awareness of individual ship status. "Open a channel to the Coalition fleet," she ordered. On the screen, Admiral Kethvar appeared alongside Commander Lisa Harper. The Zephyrian admiral looked nervous, while the human commander seemed torn between excitement and fear at seeing so many ships of her species. "Admiral Kethvar," Susan said, her voice carrying the authority of someone who had commanded fleets for decades. "I am Admiral Susan Blake, Supreme Commander of the Human Remnant Fleet. We need to talk." The meeting took place aboard the Nemesis in a conference room that could have hosted representatives from a dozen species, but today it held only humans and their coalition guests. Susan Blake was an imposing figure. Like other enhanced humans, she showed the signs of genetic and cybernetic modification. Her hair was silver white, her eyes held a metallic shine, and when she moved, it was with the fluid precision of someone whose reflexes had been enhanced beyond human norms. "Admiral Kethvar," Susan began, "Captain Morrison has briefed you on the Vactari planet killer weapon." "He has," Admiral Kethvar replied. "We need time to warn our worlds and prepare defenses." "There is no time," Susan said flatly. "Our intelligence indicates the weapon will be deployed within 72 hours. The target is the Coalition capital world of New Geneva." Lisa Harper felt her blood run cold. New Geneva was home to over 3 billion beings from dozens of species. It was the heart of Coalition civilization. "How do you know this?" Admiral Kethvar asked. Commander Tony Gray activated a holographic display. "We have assets throughout the Vactari Empire. Some are enhanced humans operating under deep cover. Others are artificial intelligences we have inserted into their computer networks." The display showed intelligence reports, communication intercepts, and tactical analyses. The evidence was overwhelming. The Vactari were planning to destroy New Geneva as a demonstration of their power. "They believe this will force the Coalition to surrender unconditionally," Susan explained. "After that, they plan to enslave every surviving species." "What can we do?" Admiral Kethvar asked. "Our combined fleets cannot match their numbers." Susan's expression remained calm. "Admiral, you still think like someone from the old galaxy. Numbers stopped mattering when we learned to think differently." She activated another display showing the Vactari planet killer and its escort fleet. "The weapon is called the World's End. It carries enough firepower to ignite a star and destroy everything in a solar system. How do we fight something like that?" Lisa asked. "We do not fight it," Susan replied. "We kill it." Captain Morrison, who had been listening quietly, spoke up. Admiral Blake explained the tactical situation. "The World's End is protected by 3 full battle fleets, over 400 ships including their most advanced dreadnoughts. In a conventional battle, they would destroy any force we could assemble. But this will not be a conventional battle," Tony Gray added. Susan nodded. "Humanity learned something important during our exile. The galaxy fights wars like they are games with rules. Deploy your fleets, engage the enemy, may the best technology win. That is how military operations work," Admiral Kethvar pointed out. "That is how they used to work," Susan corrected. "We fight wars to win them, not to follow rules." The display changed to show the human fleet disposition. Instead of the standard formation that Coalition forces would use, the human ships were scattered across multiple star systems. "Our ships will attack from 17 different directions simultaneously," Susan explained. "We will use hyperspace ramming, reactor overloads, and temporal displacement weapons." Lisa looked confused. "Temporal displacement?" We can briefly shift our ships a few seconds into the future, Tony explained. It lets us pass through enemy fire and appear inside their defensive perimeters. Admiral Kethvar was struggling to understand. These tactics sound extreme. They are, Susan agreed. Humans have learned to embrace controlled insanity in combat. While our enemies try to minimize their losses, we focus entirely on maximizing theirs. Captain Morrison pulled up another display. Admiral, show them the crew modifications. Susan touched a control, and the display showed detailed medical scans of human personnel. Lisa stared at the images in shock. These people had been altered far beyond what she had seen on the Liberty. Every human in the remnant fleet has been enhanced for combat operations, Susan explained. We can survive in vacuum for hours. Our reaction times are 50 times faster than baseline human, and our bodies can repair damage that would kill normal people. Why? Admiral Kethvar asked. Why do this to yourselves? Susan's expression became hard. Because pretty words and noble intentions did not save Earth. Because 3 billion people died while the galaxy watched and did nothing. The Coalition tried to help. The Coalition sent relief supplies and diplomatic protests, Susan interrupted. We needed warships and soldiers willing to die for strangers. The room fell silent. Lisa realized that humanity's transformation was not just about technology. It was about becoming the kind of people who would never let another Earth happen. What do you want from us? Admiral Kethvar asked finally. We want you to witness what happens when humanity keeps its promises, Susan replied. 50 years ago we swore that no innocent species would suffer while we had the power to prevent it. And after the Vaktari? Susan's smile was cold as space itself. After the Vaktari, the galaxy will know that there are rules. Genocide will be answered with extinction. Slavery will be met with liberation. Torture of innocents will result in the complete destruction of those responsible. You are talking about becoming the galaxy's police force. We are talking about becoming the galaxy's immune system, Susan corrected. We will identify threats to sapient life and eliminate them. Tony Gray spoke up. Admiral Kethvar, we need to know where the Coalition stands. Are you with us or against us? We want to help, but there are no buts, Susan interrupted. Either you support the protection of innocent life or you do not. Either you stand with us against genocide or you stand aside. Admiral Kethvar looked at Lisa, then back at Susan. What exactly are you asking us to do? Nothing, Susan replied. We will handle the Vaktari ourselves, but when this is over, we want the Coalition to acknowledge that humanity has returned. We want recognition that the Terran Protectorate has legitimate authority to act against species that threaten galactic civilization. The Terran Protectorate? Our new government, Captain Morrison explained. Every human settlement, every ship, every enhanced soldier answers to the Protectorate Council. Our only mission is protecting sapient life. Lisa felt overwhelmed by the implications. Humanity had not just survived their extinction. They had transformed into something the galaxy had never seen before. Admiral Blake, she said, what happened to us? What did we become? Susan's expression softened slightly. We became what we needed to become, Lisa. The galaxy is full of predators who see kindness as weakness. Someone has to stand between them and their victims. Even if it means we are no longer human. We are still human, Susan replied. But we are human plus. We kept the parts that mattered. Our compassion, our determination to protect the innocent, our refusal to surrender. We just added the tools necessary to make those values effective. The meeting ended with Admiral Kethvar agreeing to keep Coalition forces out of the coming battle. As the delegates prepared to return to their ships, Susan pulled Lisa aside. Commander Harper, she said, you have a choice to make. You can remain with the Coalition as an observer, or you can join your people. Join you? The Protectorate always has room for humans who want to serve. The enhancement process takes time, but you could be part of something larger than yourself. Lisa looked around the ship that represented humanity's rebirth. Enhanced soldiers worked alongside artificial intelligences, preparing for a battle that would determine the fate of billions. I need time to think. You have 72 hours, Susan replied. After that, the old galaxy ends and a new one begins. The Battle of Kepler's Gate began at exactly 800 hours, standard galactic time. The Vaktari planet-killer World's End hung in space like a mechanical moon, surrounded by its escort fleet of 400 warships. Admiral Vextar, the Vaktari fleet commander, felt confident as he watched his sensors. Admiral, reported his tactical officer. Long-range sensors detect the approaching human fleet. 200 ships maintaining standard formation. Admiral Vextar's mandibles clicked with amusement. The humans were attacking exactly as predicted. A direct assault against superior numbers, it was suicide, but at least it would be quick. All ships prepared to engage. Show these ghosts what happens to those who challenge the Empire. But Admiral Vextar did not know that he was looking at only a fraction of the human force. While his sensors tracked the approaching fleet, other human ships were already in position throughout the system, hidden in sensor shadows and dead zones. Aboard the USS Liberty, Captain Jake Morrison watched the tactical display with calm focus. His ship was part of Strike Group 7, positioned behind a small moon. Around him, 30 other human vessels waited for the signal. All ships report ready, Lieutenant Amy Collins announced from her tactical station. Remember, Jake said over the fleet communication channel, we have one chance to do this right. The moment Admiral Blake gives the signal, we hit them with everything we have. On the bridge of the Nemesis, Admiral Susan Blake studied the battle space with enhanced eyes that processed information faster than any computer. Her cybernetic implants were networked directly with the ship's artificial intelligence, giving her a perfect understanding of every element in the coming fight. Admiral, Commander Tony Gray reported, all strike groups are in position. We are ready to execute Operation Final Justice. Susan nodded. 50 years of preparation had led to this moment. Every human ship, every enhanced soldier, every piece of advanced technology they had developed would be used to end the Vaktari threat forever. All units, she transmitted to the entire human fleet. Remember why we are here. Remember Earth. Remember every innocent life the Vaktari have destroyed. Today, we keep our promise. The first phase of the battle began when the visible human fleet opened fire at maximum range. Quantum disruption cannons and plasma lance batteries lit up space with deadly energy. The Vaktari fleet responded immediately, launching thousands of missiles and energy bolts. Admiral Vextar watched with satisfaction as his weapons struck the human ships. Several vessels disappeared in bright explosions, their hulls torn apart by concentrated fire. Sir, his tactical officer reported, we have destroyed 12 enemy vessels. The humans are maintaining their attack approach. Excellent. They fight bravely, but they cannot match our firepower. But Admiral Vextar was seeing what the humans wanted him to see. The destroyed ships were actually holographic decoys. The real human vessels were using stealth technology that made them invisible to Vaktari sensors. When Admiral Blake gave the signal, 17 different strike groups attacked simultaneously from all directions. Human ships materialized out of hyperspace inside the Vaktari formation, appearing like deadly ghosts in the middle of the enemy fleet. The Liberty and its strike group emerged directly behind 3 Vaktari dreadnoughts. Jake Morrison's ship fired its main weapons at point-blank range, tearing through the enemy vessels before they could react. Target the command ship, Jake ordered. Amy, full power to all weapons. Amy Collins, her enhanced reflexes allowing her to process targeting data instantly, locked on to the Vaktari flagship. The Liberty's quantum cannons fired in sequence, each shot designed to penetrate the enemy's heavy armor. Throughout the battle space, similar scenes played out as human ships used tactics that the Vaktari had never encountered. Some human vessels rammed directly into enemy ships, their reinforced hulls smashing through Vaktari armor before self-destructing. Others used temporal displacement technology to phase through enemy shields and attack from inside defensive perimeters. Admiral Vextar stared at his tactical display in shock and growing fear. Half his fleet was already destroyed or disabled, and the humans seemed to be everywhere at once. How are they doing this? He demanded. Where are all these ships coming from? His tactical officer's voice shook with terror. Sir, they are not fighting like any species we have encountered. They seem to have no concern for their own survival. All ships fall back to protect the world's end. We must preserve the planet-killer weapon. But it was already too late. The human assault had been planned with one primary objective: destroying the superweapon before it could be used against innocent worlds. Captain Morrison's voice came over the fleet communication channel. This is Liberty Actual. We have a clear approach to the target. Beginning final attack run. The Liberty accelerated toward the massive planet killer, followed by 6 other human ships. Vaktari defenders fired everything they had, but the human vessels pressed forward through the storm of enemy fire. Amy Collins reported damage as the ship shook under repeated hits. Shield generators offline. Armor holding at 30%. We can make one pass. That is all we need, Jake replied grimly. As the Liberty approached the world's end, Jake opened a communication channel to the superweapon. Vaktari vessel, this is Captain Morrison. Your empire ends today. The Vaktari commander's response was filled with rage and desperation. Human, you cannot stop us. Even if you destroy this weapon, the Empire will build others. No, Jake said calmly. You will not. The Liberty fired every weapon it had directly into the planet killer's main reactor chamber. At the same time, Jake activated the ship's self-destruct sequence. The human vessel rammed into the superweapon at full speed, both ships disappearing in the explosion that could be seen from the other side of the star system. Aboard the Nemesis, Admiral Blake watched the destruction of the planet killer with grim satisfaction. Jake Morrison had been one of her best captains, but he had made the choice every human would make, trading his life to protect innocent civilians. Admiral, Tony Gray reported, the superweapon is destroyed. Remaining Vaktari forces are attempting to retreat. Do not let any of them escape, Susan ordered. Today, the Vaktari Empire dies. The battle continued for another 3 hours as human ships hunted down every fleeing enemy vessel. The enhanced humans showed no mercy and accepted no surrender. When it was over, the entire Vaktari fleet had been destroyed. But Admiral Blake knew that destroying one fleet was not enough. The Vaktari Empire controlled dozens of worlds and possessed vast military resources. To truly end the threat, humanity would have to do something that had never been attempted before. All ships, she transmitted to the human fleet, prepare for Operation Clean Slate. We are going to the Vaktari homeworld. 3 days later, the human fleet arrived at Vaktar Prime, the capital world of the Vaktari Empire. The planet was defended by massive orbital stations and hundreds of warships, but none of it mattered against humanity's advanced technology and absolute determination. The siege lasted 6 hours. When it ended, the Vaktari government surrendered unconditionally. Their military was destroyed, their weapons factories were reduced to slag, and their entire civilization was placed under human occupation. Commander Lisa Harper, who had chosen to join the Terran Protectorate and undergo the enhancement process, stood on the bridge of a human ship as they entered orbit around the conquered world. Is it over? She asked Admiral Blake. The Vaktari threat is over, Susan replied, but our work is just beginning. The human fleet spread throughout Vaktari space, liberating slave worlds and freeing billions of beings who had suffered under the Empire's rule. Refugee camps were established, war criminals were arrested, and the process of rebuilding began. In the weeks that followed, representatives from every major species in the galaxy came to witness what humanity had accomplished. The Coalition Council formally recognized the Terran Protectorate as a legitimate government with authority to act against species that threatened galactic civilization. The ceremony took place on New Geneva, the world that would have been destroyed by the Vaktari superweapon. Admiral Blake stood before delegates from dozens of species as she read the founding charter of the new galactic order. Let it be known throughout the galaxy, she declared, that the age of genocide and slavery is over. Any species that chooses to prey upon the innocent will answer to humanity. We are the watchers in the void. We are the price of civilization. We remember the fallen, and we ensure it never happens again. Young human officers throughout the fleet repeated the oath, their enhanced voices carrying across the void. These were no longer the peaceful explorers who had first reached the stars centuries ago. They were something new, something that had been forged in loss and shaped by determination. The galaxy now had rules, whether it wanted them or not, and humanity would enforce those rules with absolute conviction and unlimited force. The age of human guardianship had begun.